कि लोग फील करने के बाद अगर उनके परिवार को कोई सदस्य जो है वो डॉक्टर की हेल्प लेना, डॉक्टर की हेल्प लेने के बाद सुधार भी हुआ है, इसके बाद ठीक रहेंगे। ये भी कि 2013 में ट्रीटमेंट लेने के बाद तो बिल्कुल ठीक हो गए थे, ये बहन बता रही है प्रियंका, और 2013 से 2019 के बीच में 6 सालों में उनका करियर बहुत अच्छा चला। उन्होंने कई हिट फिल्में करी, इस बात का जिक्र भी स्टेटमेंट में चाहिए।
नहीं, अभी मैं एक मीटिंग में हूँ, आप कल सुबह बात करना।
Wait, are you
Yes.
Cameroon?
No, Rwanda.
Oh.
Yes.
Hmm? One PM Rwandan time. Yeah, actually.
GMT is 2 hours ahead or 2 hours behind. Yeah, it's 1 PM. No GMT. 7 minutes. I went out to eat, but I could not. You're not going to go to running stomach.
Why?
That's the more juice.
Yeah, but I didn't drink it at once. I started drinking this at 10. No, actually 9. So do you think African SMEs can benefit from their Indian counterpart? Why?
Well, Indians are not very generous when it comes to Africans. Indians have a perception that Africans don't know anything.
But at least they know Africa is a market.
Of course. They know Africa is a market that they can benefit.
Not in partnership.
Yes. How can they benefit from Africa? We have quality things at budget price. Yes. If you go to the currencies that India rupee is stronger than some of our currency, And Indians are if you know the economic also right. Open your video. Yeah. I can see you, but I can't see myself. Very good afternoon to my friends from Africa, and very good evening to all my friends from India. On behalf of Indo Global SME Chamber, I welcome you all to this webinar. And this is a webinar which we had planned specifically to ensure that we work with SMEs to help SMEs grow on to mutual cooperation between Indian and East African SMEs. So that's the whole idea we have with this webinar. And it's a pleasure to have eminent speakers with me. We have with us Mr. Ignatius, who is from Rwanda, and Mr. Deepak Bhandari from India. And the whole idea of this webinar is to have a mutual interaction and create a platform where this interaction can be carried forward and discussions can happen going forward, and how we can link SMEs to SMEs and how SMEs between them can find business opportunities and start interacting and doing more business between them. What we have seen during the pandemic time is that there has been a breakdown of the global value chain, which has seriously impacted the SMEs. And can we create a mechanism where these SMEs get some kind of comfort by talking to each other and by working with each other, collaborating with each other, and helping each other in their own geographies? So that's the whole idea with which this interaction is planned. This is the first interaction, and we'll be taking this forward with a more focused business-to-business discussions and business-to-business interactions going forward. We have participants from almost, say, the whole of African region. We have from the East Africa, we have participants from Rwanda, we have participants from Kenya, we have participants from Uganda, we have Ethiopia, we have Malawi, we have Mozambique. Now we have in the West Africa, we have participants from Nigeria, Benin. So almost the whole of African subcontinent, the sub-Saharan Africa are there. And then of course, my friends from India are there with us. So all the people who are here have been running SMEs and have been business owners and operating experts in SMEs. So they have been part of the SME value chain for say quite some time now. Now I think we have, this is the first time that we are creating a platform where participants can interact and talk to each other, understand each other. What we believe in the chamber is that the most important thing for doing business together is trust. And if we are able to create a platform where partners can trust each other, where partners don't need to worry about the credibility of the counterparty, then probably as and when the business happens, we can actually, or the business opportunities come, we can actually move faster. And to create that enabling environment, this initiative has been planned. And we are working on this initiative with our partners in East Africa. So I welcome my lead speakers today, Ignatius and Deepak. Ignatius has been into the business, into the SME business in Rwanda, and he runs an East Africa marketplace. He's chairman of the East Africa marketplace, which connects various African businesses together. And I look forward for Ignatius to expand his network and make Indian SMEs also part of the bigger marketplace, so that we can create a more global South-South cooperation type of initiative. Of course, I also want to welcome my very good friend, Deepak Bhandari. Deepak is chairman of the a company called ICO Care, which is into solutions related to construction industry, and Deepak will explain more about that. But he's more importantly, he is the face of SME industries in the Central India region. There's no SME platform where Deepak is not present. He is either member or chairman or director of various SME platforms, and understands what Indian SMEs can offer to the global platform very, very deeply. So welcome Deepak, welcome Ignatius. And I think without taking a lot of time, I hand it over to Ignatius for the opening comments. What we have planned, just as the program, as you must have seen on the screen as well, what we plan to do is both the speakers will talk about their own geographies for about 25 to 30 minutes, where they can explain how their geographies can welcome the counterparts and how businesses in those areas can actually interact with the other countries. So that would be the focus. So Ignatius would be speaking about what opportunities exist in SME sector in the Eastern Africa, especially Rwanda, and how these opportunities can create more long-term partnership with Indian businesses. Same way, Deepak will be talking about what capabilities does Indian industries have and how they can coordinate with our partners in East Africa. So this would be more of an initial talk, and following that we'll have open forum for questions where people can put their questions. You can put your questions into the chat box, which makes it more easier for us to collect the questions and put it forward to the panelists. And then we'll also, going forward, we'll also share the details and the contact details of each of the participants who are here today with other participants, so you can actually interact. And even after you leave the webinar, we are not going to leave you at this point. Going forward, we'll be creating those we'll be creating those opportunities to deal with other partners and take the businesses forward. So with that, I welcome Ignatius for his talk on how Indian SMEs can work with African SMEs and what African SMEs say have as a challenge right now, and how opportunities in the sector are there for Indian SMEs and African SMEs to collaborate. Thank you. Welcome, Ignatius.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Bharat. Good afternoon, my friends in Africa, and good evening, our partners in India. How are you? I take this opportunity to share with you the experience of African SMEs. I've been involved in 2 of them, and I will share my experience from that background, but also from what I see around myself, around in Rwanda and East Africa at large. I'm involved in 2 companies. Mugod International Limited, which is a fire protection company. We do fire protection services, and we provide the fire protection equipment. Let me start with that one. Then the second one is Pan-African Marketplace, which is in agribusiness, partly in agribusiness export to the European market, but also does market research and investment facilitation here in Rwanda and in East Africa. As I said, I will share my experience, and I think that experience is the experience of all SMEs in Rwanda, but also in Africa. 10 years ago, over 10 years ago, I and my colleague left UK, London, where we were working as professionals in the British Fire Service, and came to start a business here in Rwanda. The beginning was very good, and the business took off very well. But a few years down the road, 5 to 6 years, the business started running out of steam because the market for fire equipment was very, very small in Rwanda. Initially, we used to get all our products and services and expertise from the UK, as that was our background. But eventually, we started looking east for partners, either in the same business or in a different business, so that we can keep our foothold in the market. Remember, we started with a Bangladeshi company, tried to work with them, which was into textiles and pharmaceuticals, but we realized that things were not going very well. Then we started looking towards India, and I want to thank Dr. Bharat that he connected us to an Indian partner. And now, in addition to our business in fire safety and agribusiness, we are also into plastic recycling. So for the last 6 years, we've been working with an Indian partner who set up a plastic recycling plant here in Rwanda, and we provided market access. So when I talk about partnership or working with India or Indian SMEs, I'm talking from experience. Our partnership has provided a number of benefits. First and foremost, cleaning up the environment. We recycle over between 50 and 60 tons of plastic waste every month. And out of that, we produce new household products. It provides employment directly and indirectly to Rwandan youth. And it also provides import substitution. So Rwanda is no longer importing the amount of plastics it used to import. As you know, Rwanda banned plastics. But some of the household products are still allowed, and they have been imported from abroad. But today, the importation of plastics have been drastically reduced because we produce most of the products that are needed on the market. During the lockdown and thereafter, even the importation of most of the plastic products dried out almost, and we've been able to sustain the market. So that's what some of the partnerships can provide. The big question now that I will try to answer is, what do African SMEs need? It's a big question that I cannot answer alone. And I hope there are some my African colleagues who are running SMEs who are also going to support me on that. But the other question is, can Indian SMEs provide what African SMEs need through partnership working? And I think Mr. Bandari will help us to deal with that. Now, from my own experience, starting with East Africa is a big market of about 170 million people. I know that's not very big compared to India, but still it's big because mostly it's a consumer market. That without including the Democratic Republic of Congo, which is just our neighbor in the West. And Rwanda provides a strategic location to serve that market of East Africa. So if you're located in Rwanda as a business, you're looking at serving the Democratic Republic of Congo, Burundi, Tanzania, parts of Uganda, and even beyond in South Sudan and beyond. So I think that provides an opportunity for Indian companies and Indian SMEs. We look at India as an industrial powerhouse that has achieved most of the industrial production that we haven't here in Africa. So we do not need to reinvent the wheel. We can partner with our Indian counterparts and move very quickly to provide goods and services to our people. So what exactly do African SMEs need? I'll divide this into two parts. One is the market, obviously export. Africa has a very big agriculture production base. The lands are very fertile, the soils are very fertile. We have a lot of uncultivated land. So we need an outlet for agricultural products. Africa can actually feed the world. So whatever Indian SMEs that are in food production or food processing need, I think they can find in Africa. So that's the export market for our goods, lots of them. But also we are looking for partnership, those who are involved in imports. There is a lot of goods that Africa imports from the rest of the world. And I'm sure India can provide some of those, or most of those. What has been lacking probably is that market connection. As I gave the example of our own working with an Indian company, the problem of importation of most of the products, household plastic products, is as good as solved. But the market is still open. The market is still open, and many more Indian companies are welcome to come and invest in Rwanda. SMEs, African SMEs also need technology collaboration. If we have so many IT startups, especially started by young people, by the youth, and they would move very quickly if they can partner and benefit from the technological advancement of their Indian counterparts. I know, as I said, India is an industrial powerhouse in all sectors you can look at. So as Pan-African marketplace, if you're looking for a market, if you're looking for a partner that is in your particular field, and you have technology to share, you have technical know-how, you have expertise that you want to export, we are very open to collaboration. There's also the issue of joint ventures. I think joint ventures can help the Indian SMEs to have a soft landing into the African market, rather than starting from a clean slate and struggling to capture the market. I think there is a benefit that can be obtained by partnering with somebody who is already on the ground, somebody who already understands the market, somebody who can straight away launch you into the market, launch your product into the market, and you start business. So as I said, I'm not going to exhaust everything that African SMEs need. But in every sector you can look at, in agriculture, in ICT, in tourism, in manufacturing, in finance, export, import, there is a market in Africa, and there's an SME that would benefit from partnering with an Indian SME. All we have to do is just open the discussion, open the interaction, and make sure that our markets are linked. I'm happy to report that from Rwanda, we have a direct, well, before the COVID-19 lockdown, we had a direct flight by Rwanda Air, our own national flag carrier, direct to Mumbai. And I'm sure from there, you can connect to other parts of India. So if we can open this discussion and continue going forward, I'm sure things will open up again and business will return to normal once this pandemic is out of the way. There is a lot of benefit that Africans and Indians can enjoy from each other. So I want to thank again Dr. Bharat for taking this initiative. And I want to thank all the participants across all the sectors. As he said, this needs to be interactive. It's not a one-man's discussion. We are going to hear from you what you need, and we're going to hear from other African SMEs, all participants, what they need. So that interaction should continue. This is just the beginning. And ultimately, I'm sure there is a lot that can be, a lot of benefit that we can all get from this interaction. So that's my opening remarks. And I'm hoping that we are going to have a very positive and enriching interaction. I will respond to your questions. If you have any questions, I'm sure there will come some questions. And then we can continue to enrich each other. I thank you very much once again, and I look forward to your opinions. Thank you.
Thank you, Ignatius, for those wonderful remarks. And yes, indeed, there are a lot of opportunities that we can explore, and the whole idea of this interaction is to explore those opportunities and to actually inculcate a trust factor between the two geographies, so that whenever there are business opportunities, I know my brother is sitting on the other side of the ocean, and I can reach out to him and do take some business calls with him. So that is something which is very important. Just an anecdotal story I like to share. About 2 years back, we had a delegation from East Africa coming into India, and we took them to a few industries in my hometown, which is Indore. And this was basically into food processing. And there was this lady from Uganda who was very keen on buying some equipment. And she looked at a very simple grate separator, which a lot of SMEs, my lot of machine manufacturing friends would be making it every day. And she looked at it and asked the factory owner, how much does it cost? And the factory owner told her that this costs around something around in US dollars, it was something around say $100, $150 or something. And she said, oh my God, I'm so glad that I came to India, because otherwise I would have bought it at $4,000 from Italy. And this is exactly what I need. Now the problem is the Italian, without any prejudice to the European product, but what happens is our products work in your environment or in African environment simply because we have the same challenges of infrastructure as you have. So in India also we have say power cuts, where you cannot run a machine, your machine has to be adapted to accept power cuts. We have the same type of say fluctuations in power. So a whole lot of things are there. So I think the best person to talk about all this is my very good friend Deepak. Deepak actually is an entrepreneur who has run an industry, he has run an SME.
ऑनलाइन मीटिंग में लगाता हूं आपको
He has been into a lot of, say, SME forums as well, where he talks about the challenges for SMEs. So no better person than Deepak to talk about what Indian SMEs have to offer. So welcome, Deepak, and it's the stage is all yours.
It's really my pleasure. Am I audible?
Yes,
Hello?
yes, Deepak, you are audible.
Uh, First of all, I welcome all the delegates, and I really thankful to India African SME Connect and IGSC. My friend Mr. Bharat Kulkarni gave me opportunity to speak with you, and it's really a changing time. I want to say you because the MSME is a very diversified sector here in India, and MSME are working on very low cost basis. You know, all the entrepreneurs are a one man show. They are doing everything and on their own, and they have very low production costs. So if the Indian MSME sector can join hand with the African East African countries like Kenya, Tanzania, Uganda, Ethiopia, so many countries. So there is a lot of opportunities in the field of textile and garment because our location is central India, and it is well connected with all over India uh, by railway route, by road route, and by air route. So the every industry can make production here with very low cost, and labor cost is also very low, and government policies are very favorable for the industry, especially for MSME in some sectors like as my friend Mr. Mogabo, I was hearing him, so he told that finance and import export and tourism, yeah, right, I am agree, but I want to add some other sector also like agriculture, education, uh, especially skill development because there are so many colleges and education institute here in central India, situated in Madhya Pradesh. Our city is Indore, and it is uh, a industrial hub. Devas and Pithampur, which is a big industrial hub, like large scale industries in pharmaceutical, in automobile. People people call Detroit of India, Pithampur, situated near to Indore, and there is a huge investment, billions of dollars here in Indore, Pithampur, in Devas. So a lot of opportunities. Indian Export Promotion Council are also helping Indian central government, our local government, Madhya Pradesh government is also helping. And Africa has a big potential in 21st century, I think, because African continent is untapped right now, and Europe and Japan and America, they are all the continent which is developed. But Africa and India can join hand, and they can especially help each other. Lots of natural resources in Africa are untapped, a big workforce spread across the continent. So we can join hand in the field of skill development. We have a lot of technology company here, software industry is soaring, software manpower is financed in the world because a lot of developers, they go to United States and other European countries or Southeast Asian countries. They are basically service provider in the field of software and information technology. But in MSME sector, there is a vast scope of some other industries also, like footwear industries, ready-made garment industries. I'm sorry, right now I am traveling, but uh, I'm audible. Hello.
Yes, Deepak, you are audible.
Yes. So like footwear industry, ready-made garment industry, and some consumer durable goods also. which is in FMCG segment, and we can make some joint ventures. We can sign some MOUs in the field of this also, because some industries have very low capital investment, but have a very large opportunities in profit making, in all aspects. So MSME and small entrepreneurs can join hands with the African continent, and these countries are really very potential for India also, and we can take, it's a win-win situation for both countries, because there are so many tie-ups, there are so many MOUs. We can make partnership in different field, and we can also establish, we can also make joint ventures in some technology or in marketing field also, because low production cost is our core strength, and our skilled workmanship is our core strength. And as Mr. Mugabe told that now the connectivity is good, and government giving us support, and condition is favorable. So there is a lot of opportunity. I'm really amazed to see how the world is changing and how the technology is transforming the world, and it's really a paradigm shift. I can say uh, in the field of business, because India and Africa is doing business since ancient time, and now in the 21st century we can do so many things which is not possible in European or American continent. So it is a really very good time, and I am really very interested, because as a lot of companies here in my state, at least 15 to 20,000 companies, which is registered as a MSME, and they are doing good business in Africa and some other countries. And as I come to know, this Southeast Asian delegates are also in this meeting, so we can do a lot of things. And it is a very uh, easiest task to what you have to to give to another country, and what they have to take from them in the field of grains, agriculture, food processing, because Indore is also a hub of food processing industries. Our namkeen and other eatable items are exporting around the world, and they are very delicious, and huge demand all over the world. So Africa can also enjoy the taste of Central India, and they will really delighted to have that eatable items. So in future we can do a lot of things. There is a lot of opportunity, and I am really very interested, because Africa is the only continent which is providing this type of opportunities that is not present in Europe or America. So that's my point of view, and that is my opinion, and that's all.
Thank you. Thank you,
Yeah.
Deepak. And it was a really interesting say viewpoint that you have put forward, that how Indian SMEs, and especially SMEs from our region, can actually work with African SMEs. I think if I start with some questions just to probe more about how this relationship can actually be taken forward. So my question first would go to Mr. Ignatius. So we have, as an SME, there is always I won't call it a fear, but hesitation between a lot of SMEs in India, that how do we actually explore Africa? What is the best way? And there's a lot of stories we have heard about Africa. So how, would we be really finding credible partners? All those things I know, and I have experienced African business for 10 years now, more than that, in fact. And I have found wonderful friends like you and many other who we have been doing business for last how many 6 years now, 7 years now, 2012 to now. So there's a lot of the myths are really there, but the reality is very different. So how if there is the technology companies in India, technology in the sense the MSME technology and the manufacturing, light engineering technology, or the service industry people, they want to really provide and collaborate with our partners in East Africa. So how should we go about it? What do you think is the best way to take it forward?
Dr. Bharat, Africa is a very diverse continent, and as diverse as the continent is, so are the people, the African people. The cultural differences, the linguistic differences, there are different consumption behaviors, people will, there are a lot of stereotypes about Africa, as there are a lot of stereotypes about India and all other places. I think without going into culture issues, and I think you did mention the issue of trust. I take that to be very, very important in business, and trust can be built. As I said, I've been working with Indian partner for the last 6 or so years, and I can tell you that, and Dr. Bharat, you can find out that we have never had any issues. Whatever issues we have are business related, and we worked through and continue to explore the market. However, I think the best way to enter into an African market is to, like anywhere else, first of all, pick your sector you're interested in, look at the people in or businesses in that sector, and pick a partner. Not by yourself. You'll definitely need the help of somebody on the ground to help you to carry out due diligence and make sure that you are picking the right partner. African people, African businesses are affected by so many other issues, just like everywhere else. So on that question, I would emphasize that find a partner who can help you, first of all, to do due diligence, and make sure that you have the right person, the right partner to do business with. Other issues can be sorted out along the way, but I think the most important thing is to make sure that there is somebody who can recommend to you somebody to work with. Just like Dr. Bharat did 7 or 6 years ago, recommended an Indian to me, and we've been working together since. The same can happen if you know an Indian. Maybe you can trust more, who has been involved in Africa, like Dr. Bharat has been. I know he has been here in Rwanda. He did a good job in building the East African commodity exchange, him and his team, and that's how I came to meet them. And he can help, to recommend or to carry out due diligence. When you're doing business, I think some of these stereotypes, you have to put them aside, because the problem with stereotypes, they generalize so much. They get, a continent of 1-point-something billion people and say, oh, Africans are like this, Africa is like this. It's not always the case. Just like India is not about some of the stereotypes that we hear around. So I think we need to put stereotypes aside, look at the market, focus on the market, find the right partner. You can find right partners everywhere. They are there. And then try to get into that market and do business. Yeah, I hope I've answered that question. It's a tricky one because there is no one fit all kind of suggestion, but I think that would be my advice. And if anyone is interested to go forward with this, and we're going to have more discussions, we can always discuss and go forward with doing business, setting aside all the other feelings and other things we've had.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ignatius. I think that's a lot of confidence that it provides to the SMEs. A lot of our
Yes.
SMEs, just to continue the discussion, a lot of our SMEs who are right now present are companies who are into agriculture equipments, implements, a lot of things related to agriculture. We have done a lot of agri-related innovations in India. And the center of these innovations is SMEs. So if you look at processing industry, my friend Deepak was talking about the agro processing and the food processing. I think one of the best food processing equipment manufacturers are here in this meeting right now. SME related. Now you have huge big factories, but then there are SMEs who are actually manufacturing a lot of processing, a lot of food in India. How do you see those market for those companies in, especially in East Africa, Rwanda, and the areas that you work in?
I look at it in two ways. First, Africa is an export market. For some of the food products that are not produced here, and I'm not sure if they are very, but they are there. Stuff like rice, and there's always a market for anything, especially when it comes to food. But also, Africa's a producing center for some of the food products that you need in India and Asia. I was just asking on the forum if anybody is interested in growing chili, for example, and exporting it. We have land available here, and I know there is a big market of chili and chili products on the Indian continent, subcontinent. Sorry. So Africa can provide the land, the good climate, where food can be grown, all sorts of food, anything. You can put anything in the land here, and it will grow very quickly. So those can be produced here and exported to the rest of the world. As I told you, I'm into a smaller scale, really, food export into the UK market. And I realized the trips I make to London, I lived in that city for 15 years. For those who have lived in London and the UK, you will know that there are two types of food markets. Probably everything else is the same, but let's talk about food markets. There is the former one where you buy manufactured stuff, industrial produced, mass produced food products, and that's where you find, that's the products you find in the big supermarkets, British supermarkets. But also there is the informal, what I can call the informal small ones, that bring in food from all over the world. Indians are very good at that. All the corner shops I find in London, probably 90% of them are run by Indians. And there you find very, very diverse types of foods, from all over the world, from Africa, from India, from Asia, from Asia, from Caribbeans. And I've seen a trend I've seen a trend, a growing trend, whereby the big formal mass-produced food products are actually losing market ground to the informal shops and the imported foods, because for various reasons, but mainly for health reasons. You know, people are kind of avoiding the mass-produced foods and going for healthy options and organic, if you can, you know. So there is a room for that kind of interaction in the food business. Growing food, Africa can provide land. Processing, you know, there is a big gap in food processing here in Rwanda, but on the entire African continent. Food packaging is a serious. There is a serious gap in packaging for export, and I'm sure the Indian SMEs can partner with their African counterparts or Rwandan counterparts and get that problem solved. You know, so I really hope that this discussion can continue. Even privately, people can take each other's contacts and continue this discussion of their own. But there's a big gap. There are big gaps that can be closed by coming together over the two markets. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Ignatius. Now my question to my friend Deepak. Deepak, you have seen the SME industry so closely, and you have been yourself into exports, and you yourself have been exploring Africa for quite some time. What support does Indian SME need to find partners in Africa? How can we find correct partners for African SMEs from India? What should we do for Indian SMEs?
Very good question. I've been to South Africa, Kenya, Mauritius so many times, and always I'm thinking that something is very important here. First of all, I am again saying, if we can make basic infrastructure of IT, like Alibaba done in China. You know the Chinese government supporting Alibaba, and I'm always meeting with the ministers and some other government officers, and I am telling them that please make a infrastructure to improve and increase our business, especially for MSME and small scale unit. I am visiting colleges, I am visiting institutions, visiting universities, everywhere I'm telling all faculty members, doctors, train your students with new technologies and like machine learning, like artificial intelligence, like, because world is flat now and everyone is connected, and China, especially China, I think the growth of China is based on IT infrastructure. No doubt China has a lot of infrastructure also, like roads and airports and other infrastructure also, but IT is best everywhere. And India is master in the field of IT, because you know, in NASA, in a lot of big 500 companies, Indians are doing well in the field of IT, and they are a backbone, I can say, proudly I can say, they are the backbone of the IT industry, US and around the world. So first we have to find our partner by IT platform, and it is very economic way of start business, and we can upload our products catalog on that platform, like on Alibaba website, and there are so many opportunities in that field now, because Export Promotion Council and government subsidy is there, and they are helping, like MDA scheme are giving funds to exporters, they can go outside India, they can promote their product, they can also took their catalog them, but physically not uh, very practical right now, because physical catalog can be displaced, but on soft copies everywhere, they can spread everywhere on social media. So different countries in African continent can join hands on that platform, and it is very simple.
Yeah.
I think mind is clear, Dr. Bharat.
Yeah. Thank you. I think that's a very interesting point, Deepak.
And one
Yeah,
also
yeah.
I can add with this, because we can manage trade fairs. We can welcome foreign delegates, and we also want to go in your country, in different countries in Rwanda, Ethiopia, Somalia, Tanzania, Uganda, and we meet one-to-one meet. So trade delegation is there, trade fair is there, and we organize every year 10 to 12 trade fair in our state. So in your country, we are also do the same. We are very interested to do the same.
Thank you,
Okay.
Deepak. I think that's the trade fair. I think the whole idea of this platform is to create that network, and if we can create that network, then the business can definitely we can take forward. Now I want to open it up for my participants to ask questions. Can I request the participants if they can just indicate their interest to ask questions, and then we can take the question one by one.
Dr. Bharat, good evening, Satyajit here.
Yes, Satyajit, welcome. Yeah, please
Thank
go
you
ahead.
so much. Good evening, Mr. Ignatius and Mr. Deepak. It was a really thought-provoking session. And so far as we are concerned, we have been working with in Madagascar last 10 years in organic farming and farming-related activities. In India also, we are government certified organic process certifiers, government authorized certifiers, and we are into agri input manufacturing also. So my question is, with regard to corporate farming sector opportunities in Rwanda, now corporate farming, large scale farming has got different dynamics. What are the modalities, general modalities in Rwanda? Number one. Number two, what is the government interference when it comes to large-scale production? And socio-economic, lot of issues will be there. See, we have got very hands-on experience in handling these issues in Madagascar, and we were, quite successful in establishing certain hectares of land for production. Similarly, Rwanda is also a very big opportunity in such. So, what all, what all modalities with regard to government, private people, getting the land from the government and private people, later on exporting, selling in domestic markets, certifications, so on and so forth. Can you just throw a few light on this? Number one. Number two, we are interested in, see, we are a quality certifiers basically. We have developed a unique system for private certification. You must be knowing certification is basically the person who is buying has to accept it, not person who is giving it. So we have developed some modalities, some quality standards. So Is there any opportunity as such? Is agriculture in Rwanda so well organized that it will take a certification also, that to private certifications like us? This is my question number 2. Can you just please throw some light?
Thank you, Satyajit. Ignatius, if you can take those 2 questions. First, I think I'll just summarize the questions for you. One is what are the modalities of getting into commercial agriculture in Rwanda? And second, is there a market for private certification of food products in Rwanda?
Good. Thank you, Mr. Kitul. Let me just start with the first question about commercial agriculture in Rwanda. Rwanda has an open business, very open and friendly business environment. That includes acquisition of land. I've been helping some of my friends, not only from India, but around the world, from UK and everywhere. Even yesterday, I was on site identifying land for one of my friends from London for investment. I've acquired land for one of Indian partners near the new airport. Rwanda is building a new international airport to accommodate the growing commercial airlines that are coming into the country. The previous airport is not big enough. So near the airport, where the new airport is being constructed, there's a lot of business opportunities that are going to come up to support the airport function. So there are many people who have expressed interest in setting up businesses. One of my Indian partners has purchased land to set up warehousing facility around the airport. Others are planning to set up petrol stations and hotels. And so I want to assure you that Rwanda's business environment is absolutely open and friendly. And that includes the acquisition of land for any purpose, for industrial purpose, for commercial farming, for any purpose. So you are most welcome to contact me if you're interested in further details, and I'll be happy to help you go through that. In terms of the second question is about certification of products. Is that agriculture products or food processing, or I didn't get that one very well.
Agriculture products, agriculture process, no processing.
Okay.
Food certification.
Okay.
I think
okay,
food certification, food processing, agriculture food certification. I think that's what.
Well, I want to return to the Rwanda's strategic direction, if you like, is to have quality products, certified products that can be exported to the rest of the world, into other markets, European markets, Asian markets. And that certification and quality control and assurance is very, very important. I think there's a big room for that. If you can provide me the specifics, I'm a member of Horticulture Export Association, and I can give you the details. But I can assure you that there is a big room for quality assurance and certification of food products, agriculture products for export market, because Rwanda wants to be I mean, to increase its exports into other markets. Those kind of quality control and certification facilities and necessities are very, very much required. So I might need some specific details, but I can assure you, as somebody who is, although I said I insist it's a small scale export that we are doing, but growing. And probably the reason why our export market is not growing very fast is some issues of certification. You know, you want to export something into the UK market, and they say, oh, this one you need this and that, and you don't have enough facility to come up with that product the way it is wanted. So yes, there is room for both of them. Thank you.
Thank you, Ignatius, for that. I think Akshay wants to ask a question. Akshay, if you can go ahead, please.
Yes. First of all, thanks a lot to you, Mr. Bharat, for organizing this webinar. Very helpful, lot of information for us. And my question is directed to Mr. Ignatius. So we are into advisory to food industries. We help them into turnkey consulting, from commissioning, from concept to commissioning, everything. So we have two opportunities in our hand from Africa. And we have been a bit, kind of nervous, or you can say a bit difficult to understand how to work there in Africa. So the two opportunities, one is in Kenya, where our client is interested to go into banana processing. So every base work which we could do from over here from India, we have done. Similarly is pineapple processing in Uganda. So we have a client over there, he has got his land, and now we want to go over there for execution. So what labor laws, first of all, we should take care of? What are the kind of, is it because the media and the web portrays a very different picture of Africa as well. So is it safe to visit Kenya and Uganda for the implementation of our project? And third, the critical part would be finance of the project. So the parties are there. So how can we, kind of assure our finances that our professional fees, whatever we are rendering, the implements that that our clients would be sending. So how can we assure that the payment is there from Africa? How can we assure that?
Right. Thank you very much. Let me start with the issue of safety. I'm always amazed how only bad information is shared. Something happens in Africa and it's taken as if the whole of Africa is on fire. I still get asked questions about genocide in Rwanda, which took place 26 years ago, and people think it's still happening today. And say, oh, is Rwanda safe? Rwanda, Dr. Bharat has been here and has lived here, and he can tell you that I find it very, very safe to be in Rwanda than when I'm in London. So some of these issues no doubt affect business, There's no doubt about that. But I think when you open up your eyes and ears and your mind, you can actually learn more than what just the media portrays. If I can go back to my own example, when I started working with my partners from India, I asked them, why hadn't you invested in this region before, because they had set up in other parts of they said, well, we have heard this, we have heard that about these people in these countries, and we are not sure that we can find the right person to work with. But I'm not from heaven, and I'm sure the other people here who can work with other people and get business going. So the issue of safety, I can assure you that most of African countries, East Africa now is free of any conflict, and it's ripe and open for business. That I can assure you, there is no question. Yes, the market is growing. The middle class in Africa is increasing, and the consumption behaviors are changing. If they used to be traditional, they have now moved into modern consumption behavior. And there is a big market, there's a big opportunity for Indian businesses. I said, please put aside some of those media portrayals of Africa and just look at the business side of things and talk to other Indians already doing business in Africa. And you'll find that Africa is a very good market to business in. So it's very safe. In terms of financing, where is financing available in every country? It all depends on what kind of financing you're looking for. But if you are able to get financing from outside, and as I just said that Africa, like any other market, needs, businesses need financing, and you can assure them, you can look at World Bank doing business reports. You can refer them to all the statistics and all the analyses that look at business financing in Africa. And I don't think all precautions and risk management measures taken. Africa is just like any other market. There's nothing unusual that can happen to your business here. I know there are some issues in some countries. Issues do come up, just like in any other region. They are not only unique to Africa, but generally most countries, they are very safe. You have to do due diligence where you want to invest or where you want to partner with, and make sure that you play it safe and you take risk management measures. What was the third question? I think there was a third issue, apart from safety and...
I think these were the two things.
Is it what?
These were the two questions.
Yes, that were the two questions that I was...
Those are the two questions, right?
Yeah.
Thanks
so
a lot,
safety,
Ignatius.
I think, Akshay, just to add to what Ignatius has said, I have stayed in East Africa for 10 years now. I keep traveling to East Africa, not last 6 months, but every 15 days I'm in Africa. So, and I have not encountered a single incident. So, of course, it's not as bad as people portray it to be. It is much safer. Sometimes I feel, as Ignatius said, I feel safer in Kigali than in somewhere in Delhi sometimes. So I think that way, I think you can be rest assured. But regarding financing, I think there are other ways of managing your risk in financing as well, and we can discuss it offline. So I think these are areas which should not be an impediment to business.
Surely. Thanks a lot, Mr. Bharat.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Ignatius.
Thank you. Mr. Lohia, Mr. Rajneesh Lohia, you had a question. Please go ahead, sir.
Thanks, Bharat, for putting this platform over here. So it is good to interact with Ignatius here and to know more about African business opportunities. So my question to Ignatius is, in the past, I have gone through some proposals for setting up a manufacturing plant of irrigation. We are into manufacturing of micro irrigation systems in India. Yeah. And excuse me, there's some noise coming out. Hello. So my two questions. One other question is, what is the availability of skilled or semi-skilled manpower in Africa if one plans to set up an manufacturing premises there? So what is the availability of skilled manpower and semi-skilled? Whether we have to take it from India or we can find it there. My second question is, what kind of market assistance the government of Africa provides? Is there any council or organization which works with marketing of the products? These are my two questions.
Thank you. Thank you, Loyaji. I think just to summarize the question, one is what is the availability of manpower, skilled and unskilled? And second, what type of support system does the government provide in terms of marketing and other things?
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you, Mr. Lohia. Starting with manpower, both skilled and unskilled. Africa, let me start with Rwanda. Rwanda is a very useful country. The percentage of young people is higher than the percentage of other people. And the young people are struggling to get employment. The government alone not provide employment. Again, Rwanda is a country that has put education at the heart of its development strategy. So we have young people, so many educated young people. Any sector you can look at and find people who can who are employable, who have skills, both technical and soft skills. So that's not a big question issue at all. Unskilled is massively available. We run a plastic recycling unit here with our Indian partners, and we employ about 40 unskilled laborers. And we always have a lineup of people looking for employment. And that's one of the issues that we really have to look at, because apart from doing business and making a profit, also you remember that you're providing a livelihood and employment to African young people. So that shouldn't be an issue at all. Both skilled and unskilled labor is available. In terms of government support, I think most of the African governments, but let me talk about Rwanda in particular, is inviting and receiving foreign investors with open arms. And you just look at the facilities available or the facilitation that you need, and there is an agency that is in charge of helping you get what you want. Is it land? Is it construction permit? Is it market access and approach? There is an agency, government agency, that can facilitate and make sure that you get what you want. So even that is not a very big problem at all. Shouldn't be a problem. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Ignatius.
Thank you. Thank you, Ignatius, and thank you, Mr. Lohia, for that question. Now, I can see there are a lot of African counterparts as well, and they might also be having a lot of questions. Is there any question coming up, or I can move to some of my African counterparts if they have a question?
Yes. Let me start by asking the first question for on behalf of myself, but also on behalf of my African colleagues. But I'm sure maybe they also ask their own questions. The question I have is, I mean, as I stated initially, I believe that India is an industrial powerhouse. Anything from my recent interaction with Indians, but also even before I started doing business with them, I knew that India is an industrial powerhouse, and I've always wondered why India has not really gone out aggressively to to conquer the African market, which is African market is mainly a consumer market. We are not very much into production, although we are pushing our production capacities. But 10 years, 20 years back, 30 years back, most of the African countries were just consumer, societies. So the question I always ask myself: why have Indians not really pushed into the African market and conquer it? As you know, look at the Chinese, what the Chinese are doing, and before the Chinese, maybe the Europeans were also, dominant in the market, in some markets. So I know there is a lack of information. Maybe Dr. Bharat, after this whole pandemic is off, is gone, maybe we should take this discussion offline and, talk to the Indians directly, straight in their faces, and tell them Africa is open for business. So what's the perception? What do you guys have in mind about African market? Thank you.
I think it's a very, very interesting question, Ignatius, and thank you for asking that. I think I'll take that question because I have primarily because I have known the African business, I have known the Indian business, and I can relate the question comparatively easily. I think the Indian business story and Indian industrial story is all about MSMEs. We are dominated by MSMEs. We are run 95% of our manufacturing happens in MSMEs. So MSMEs is the core of our industrialized infrastructure. Of course, there are huge large-scale industries as well that have come up, but a lot of them have actually migrated from being an MSME about 10 years, 15 years back, and today they are doing much bigger businesses. So, that's for MSME to expand into a new geography. I think it's always it's always a challenge in terms of finding right partners. Do we really need to go there? And then second thing is Indian market is quite big. So before you actually say work on the whole Indian market, or you actually satisfy the Indian market, MSMEs do not have an inherent intention to look beyond. But now I think in last 5 years, what has happened is the legal and the regulatory structures in India have changed, which has made MSMEs look beyond the borders much easier. We have actually realized that MSMEs are much stronger than they believe they are. And then we have created platforms where Indian and say international businesses are interacting and going to new geographies. So I think keeping all those things in mind, first, MSMEs were never did not look at some markets beyond India, primarily because there was a big market in India, and secondly, they did not realize that the resource structure was there and the government support to MSMEs was not as it is right now. So I think that made us comparatively inward looking. But now I can tell you MSMEs are very outward looking, and they're looking at international markets, collaborations. The new generation of entrepreneurs have entered. So that has changed in the last 5-6 years. And of course, there's always a requirement of platforms like these where we can actually create a lot of discussion and create those type of mechanisms where MSMEs do not, MSMEs are no longer worried about the return on investment and security, because I think some of the participant has actually specified that one of the factors that MSME worry about is their return on their investments. So I think in the modern times, MSMEs are looking forward for being more global. So that's what I would say to answer your question.
Okay. Interesting.
Thank you. So
yeah, then let's.
Yeah. Please go ahead.
Let's go over that and look at the way we can advance market opportunities between Africa and India.
Yes, I think a lot of say efforts into creating platform like these, where now somebody like like you, who has been into Africa and who has been working with Indian companies, coming and telling our friends in India that don't worry, you're safe there, gives a lot of confidence booster. And I think that is the type of interaction we should have and we should create for more Indian companies to feel confident going into Africa.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So,
any other question? Any other question from African colleagues? Africans, where are you? What do you want to know from the Indians? Stuck? Where are you?
This is me. I'm kind of multitasking.
Do you have any question for, what do you need to know?
Yes, I would like to know.
Say it. Sorry, I have my colleague here. He's just next to me, but he has a question. What's the question?
Yeah, my question is, thanks for giving me this audience. My question is, how can we work with the Indian SMEs in an equitable manner? Because our people feel that each time there's a partnership between Indian SMEs with the African ones, there's always an upper hand, so our people become very skeptical about the relationship between India SMEs and African SMEs. So that's my question. Thank you.
Okay. Did you get the question?
Yeah. I think it's a very interesting question, and it's something to it's important for Indian SMEs also to introspect. I think it's more about the cultural, say the historical the factors, because most of the SMEs that actually explored into Africa or went into Africa were companies who were third generation, fourth generation Indian Africans staying in Africa, and they always had that economic, say economic upper hand. But I think going forward, what I am seeing is, and I'm sure that Ignatius, your experience would be important here. The new Indian investors and new Indian SMEs that are actually exploring Africa are looking for a more equitable partner, a partner who can stand with them in a more equitable and a more, say, in a more equal manner, rather than having an upper hand. So and what happens is, when you have more participants coming, when you have more people coming and exploring Africa, more companies looking at joint ventures and things, automatically the choice, because then the Indian companies also start competing for credible African partners. So that if you create, then you have a more equitable relationship. I think we have a we have a participant, Mr. Neelkanta here. He would like to speak. He has worked a lot in Malawi, and please, sir, please go ahead. Mr. Ahir, please go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Bharat Kulkarni. You have rightly pointed out in terms of the partnership working in an equitable manner, where one partner does not have an upper hand over the other. I would not put it in a way where the Indian partner would want to have an upper hand or the African partner would want to have an upper hand. But times have changed, and people have realized that partnerships are way beyond the 51 and the 49% this thing relationship that they used to have, and they treat each others as equals, and they look forward to be treated as well in the same manner. So with my experience with dealing with conflicts in primarily like Bharat has pointed out with Malawi and other African nations also. Fortunately, we do not have to deal with any disputes in other African countries, for the very reason that the partnerships were not lopsided. It is not that the Indian partner is taking advantage of the African partner or the African partner is taking advantage of the Indian partner. It was, it is, we have experienced very healthy partnerships going on for past 10, 15, 20, 25 years, or even some cases over generations, where people have been doing quite a lot of business because of holding hands together in the right manner. That is all I wanted to add. Which has led to absolute nil or reduced amount of conflict and no litigation or no issues to be managed at later stage. So even if for that matter the major concern of working in the African economy, which is the rule of law and settling of disputes at a later stage, if that is also sorted out in a fair manner by now we have a lot of alternate dispute resolution mechanisms in terms of appointing high commissioner's office or fair offices who can handle the dispute in a more sensible manner rather than going to the courts, wasting time, energy, and resource. People look more towards that option, and SMEs, like Bharat has pointed out, are now looking way beyond their borders to partner with a lot of other nations and with other potential partners in the African continent, which is the land to be. I would sum it at that.
Thank you, sir. Very interesting points. Thank you. So I think Ignatius, the short answer is find the right partner, because not every partner would like to take advantage, and finding the right partner is something which would make things much easier for SMEs to work. And I think people like you and me say have a responsibility of providing a platform where such type of partners can meet and interact. So I think that's something which we should be doing. So very interesting question. Thank you for that. Any other question from my African friends?
My colleague still has another question.
Mr. Barnard, before I go, I just want to understand if there's an entry consideration for an African business trying to explore Indian markets based on your experience in India. Because here in Rwanda and other African countries, we know that we give our foreign investors coming in a preferential treatment. I don't know if that is also in India, so that we can see how we can mobilize our SMEs to see to explore Indian market.
Entry requirements.
Yes. I think there are a lot of privileges which SME sector is given. Especially for SME sector, there are privileges given. There are elaborate, just like any African country, we also have elaborate foreign investment protocols. And those protocols provide a lot of benefit, and then there are other benefits as well. So there's a whole lot of benefits that are provided to international investors who are coming into India, irrespective of the country of origin. Of course, last few months there has been some tweaking in the foreign investment policy, especially targeted to China. But otherwise, there are a lot of provisions and say benefits that foreign investors are offered when they come into India.
Well, Africans are general, because we give we have transferred our own here that if you are coming from India, you have this. Generally, it's for foreign investor, but I think we look at the emerging countries, the ones that they are almost like African continent, so we give them that. My colleague here was trying to.
As of now, we have preferential market access to goods originating from Africa, especially under the LDC agreement. So there are a lot of virtually, say except Kenya, I think the whole of East Africa is covered under those agreements. So there are zero duty type arrangements where you can export to India without any duty say being imposed on it. Making it more profitable, more equitable for African industries to actually explore to or export to India. So those benefits are definitely there. And then there are bilateral agreements, and through which there are benefits that are provided, especially into the market access for African and the especially the African countries. Like there was a time when the whole world, the export of chickpeas which is one of the major export from Tanzania, was having a tax of about duty of about 20%, but anything coming from Tanzania was free of duty, just because Tanzania is part of the preferential agreement. Similarly, Mozambique has a preferential agreement with India for providing pulses, especially the pigeon peas. So those type of agreements do exist, and those type of preferential market access, especially for African countries, do exist.
Right, good.
Thank you, Mr. Barrett.
Thank you, thank you.
I'll
thank
stop for now.
you. Yes.
Okay, any other question? Mr. Barrett, I think you take the floor again.
Yes, I think this is the first interaction, and I hope that this was found to be valuable, and some value was derived out of it for our Indian and African counterparts. Of course, I can see in the chat window people explaining their profiles and everything. And what we are going to do now is, once we are done with this webinar, and once we have heard each other, we'll share the contact details to everyone. Everyone will be given the contact details of participants of the webinar. So you can actually contact and seek partnerships, do whatever business discussions you want to with these. Wherever we are required, we'll definitely play a role. So that's what I think as a takeaway from this webinar would be. There would be more platforms of this coming up. We would have more platforms, more interactions. Now I think the next stage should be where we have focused business interactions, where selected in the sense predefined companies can come and explain their opportunities or explain their requirements, and we can have a B2B discussion. So all these things will follow. We are not leaving just by doing a webinar. We will take it to the level where the business can actually be done. So with that, I think I'll close here. I want to thank Ignatius for his time and the manner in which you addressed all the queries and the questions and everything. It was really an confidence building talk, where we could actually now see that we have very credible partner on the other side of the ocean, and we would be very happy to partner with them, with people like you. I think I feel so proud when my Indian friend tells me that, oh, you know, I'm in Rwanda because you give me a good partner. So I think I want to have that feeling with multiple businesses in multiple countries, and that's the whole reason why our Chamber of Commerce exists. Of course, we have our Indian partners who have been some very serious business players who are into agriculture processing, food processing, agriculture equipment, a whole lot of infrastructure related work. Not only this, not only investments, but suppose there are opportunities where Indian and African businesses can collaborate. I think that would be something which this platform would do. I want to thank Deepak also. I think Deepak is traveling in spite of his busy schedule. He gave us time. So Deepak, thank you very much. And we look forward for more engaging sessions with everybody. We'll keep you posted on the next steps. And with that, I want to thank all of you and say goodbye to you. Thank you very much.
Let me just make one closing remark, Dr.
Yes,
Bharat,
yes, sir. Please go ahead. Please go ahead.
I just want to say a few lessons that I've just picked out from this discussion. One is that there are issues of trust and credibility, and there are issues of media portrayal of Africa, and our Indian friends who, probably are not following what's happening in Africa. But I just wanted to say that let's put all that on the side and start exploring, looking pure at business, and then the other issues can be sorted through due diligence when you come down to partnering with an African SMEs. African markets are coming together, and they are getting much more organized. I don't know if you have heard about intercontinental Africa Trade Agreement that has come into force, and that makes more African market more ripe for Indian markets, for Indian businesses. So let's try to interact more, try to understand each other. There will always be differences, there will always be cultural issues and issues of trust and credibility, but those should not stop business, because Africa, like any other continent, any other part of the world, has got issues, both good and bad, and you can sift through all that and do business together. I thank you very much again, and I look forward to more and more enriching discussions and more interactions between our Indian friends, and ultimately more business between Africa and India. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ignatius. So I think on the closing remarks, you have very rightly pointed out, we need to build trust. We need to have we need to have more interactions between Indian and African businesses, because then a lot of myths are broken. I think I know how difficult it is to convince people that Africa is not is not what you perceive it to be. Perception is the biggest say impediment at this point. I think ignorance about Africa is the biggest impediment. That's something that we have realized. But we are committed to break that. We are committed to ensure that the credibility of African and Indian businesses interacting with each other is there. We would do all that is required to ensure that Indian SMEs find credible partners in Africa, and African SMEs find credible partners in India. And we'll continue doing that. And we have friends like Ignatius in Rwanda and other East African countries, which makes us more comfortable, more happy, more confident that these business relations would be going to new heights. With that, I thank you, all of you, and really appreciate your time and your participation. We are really thankful to you. We look forward for more of these type of interactions in coming days, and we'll keep you posted about that. So with that, thank you, and good evening to all of you. We'll reconnect sometime in the future. Thank you.
Thank you.